All right, guys, so here is the keyword resource that we've been looking at and working with over the last couple weeks. We've been primarily writing expressions from basic math phrases, and we looked at how we construct those using the different colors here. But ultimately, they're words that we see that indicate addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So we're going to look at how these apply, these basic kind of words apply to real life events. So let's take a look at some examples. All right, so these are examples that use kind of basic wording. Again, that first level of our resource chart. So if I look at number one, the class of 30 students was divided into groups of 3 students each. So what I want you to do is I want you to take a minute and I want you to highlight the key word that is an operation. So this one, again, basic wording, is divided, which we know would be the operation of division. It spells it out for us, guys. So what 2 things am I dividing? That's the other important information, is to be able to identify what things we're looking at. So what are we dividing? The class of 30 students, so our number is 30, and they're going to be divided into groups of 3. So to write an expression for this, we would take 30 divided by 3. Now you can use the good old division sign. That's completely okay in algebra, or just to show you your options, you could also, oh, that looks pretty rough there, guys. You can also use that division fraction bar to show division. Either one is completely acceptable. All right, taking a look at number 2, the length L added to the width, which is W. So again, looking for keywords, it is laid out right here for us that we are going to add. And what 2 things am I going to add? Well, we're going to add the length, but we don't know the length, right? So anytime we don't know a number, we often use a variable, which in this case, it gave us the variable L. And we're going to add it to the width, which again, we don't know the exact measurement, but we do know we could use a variable to represent that. So to write our expression, we have L added to W. So L plus W. All right, so last one, to look at some basic key wording. We have the difference between Jane's age, which is 55, and Alicia's age, which is 24. So looking for my key word, the difference. Again, if you're not as familiar with it, it is down here. Difference means to subtract. And typically we talked about the word difference means that we need to put things in parentheses. However, when we look at what we're actually subtracting, we're looking at Jane's age and we're looking at Alicia's age. Those are the only 2 things that I'm subtracting. So there aren't any other operations that we are looking to group it from. So to write out an expression for this one, we would write 55 minus 24. Now, if you did put parentheses around it, it's not going to hurt the problem at all. It still would be, you're going to do that operation first. It's the only operation to do. So either would be acceptable. However, if there's only one operation going on, you do not need parentheses. But difference should indicate subtraction. All right, so sometimes wording requires you, again, to switch the order or implies operations and numbers. So we took a look at this, and we're referring to the green and yellow terms. So if you think back to when we did basic phrases, the terms more than, greater than, less than, fewer than, subtracted from, and taken from, those words that have than or from imply certain orders. So we switch the order of construction, meaning we take the first number and put it at the end, and the last number or variable and put it in the beginning. And the operation in the middle, obviously. Then we looked at some green terms. These are the words that have implied operation and number. So when we look to double something, we are multiplying by 2. When we triple something, we're multiplying by 3. Twice, we multiply by 2. And the operation for division would be if we take something and cut it in half. That would mean to divide by 2. So looking at how these can be applied to real life scenarios, we take a look at number 4, it says Vinny ate 7 more chicken nuggets than James. So looking to highlight my key word, I see the word more. Now it is kind of separated with chicken nuggets, but you also see the word than. Again, than and from are super important to be able to acknowledge so that you know to switch the order. So Vinny ate 7 more chicken nuggets than James. Going back to constructed, I know that we have the number 7 more than, which is addition, right? James. So we know from before we have to switch the order of our terms. So J is actually going to come first. Depends on how many chicken nuggets James ate. And then we're going to add on 7 more to represent Vinny. So for that first one, it'd be J plus 7. Okay, taking a look at the second one here. John has 10 less coins than Alice. So then less than is also one of those keywords. So less than, and again, it is separated by coins because it tells you what context you're talking about. But looking further into it, what two things am I, in a sense, subtracting? 10 from Alice. So again, when we have a less than, more than, anything with the word than or from, we need to switch the construction. We're going to start with Alice. Less than means to subtract, and we're subtracting 10. Okay, so let's take a look at some green words, words that imply number and operation. So Joe took half the number of marbles. So half is our key word here. Okay, and we know that half means to divide by 2. And what are we dividing by 2? We're looking at the number of marbles. So to write that out, we would take marbles and divide it in half. And again, you could also use the traditional division sign and write it like that. Either or is acceptable. Number 7 here, the town's population of 10,000 tripled during the last decade. So again, looking through for some key words, you should hopefully be able to identify the word tripled. And tripled is, again, another one of those words that implies the operation and number. So what are we tripling? If I go back to my problem, the town's population of 10,000 is what is being tripled. So we know that we are multiplying by 3. So we're going to take 10,000 and multiply by 3. So we're going to take 10,000. Bear with me, guys. This is a little hard to write on the screen. And we're going to multiply by 3. Now, you might be tempted to put the good old x in there and multiply by 3. However, in algebra, we are typically trying to stay away from that because it can be also looked at as a variable. So when we are multiplying, we want to use either the dot and multiply by 3, or you can also use parentheses to signify operation of multiplication. So we could say 10,000 and then multiply it by 3. So either one would be acceptable. All right, so this is your task, is to go through and kind of write expressions for those real life contexts that have basic key wording. Tomorrow we're going to take a look at some more complex wording, just words that imply that we use in our everyday English that imply certain operation but aren't necessarily as straightforward. So I'm going to throw back up this mathematic operations and keyword vocabulary. If you like the idea of taking a picture of it so you can just easily access it while you're doing the worksheet, I encourage you to take a picture. If not, you can always open up this keyword resource. It'll be in the assignment and also on your resource page on the course page underneath the resource tab. So both locations are completely acceptable to bring it up if you like to toggle back and forth on your screen, or like I said, you can take a picture on your phone and have it easily accessible while you work on the worksheet. All right, good luck. Reach out if you need any help.